Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of July 13th, 2014. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Well, if there ever was a time where things really started to change, this would be it. In fact, I do think that a lot of people out there are going to look back at the second half of July and say that was when, and they'll pinpoint this as the time when a lot of things began to change for them. Things began to take on momentum, and especially wherever it is that you have felt energy is stuck, wherever it is that you have felt that you wish that there was some momentum, you wish there was some progress, you have felt frustrated as well, you have felt that things were not moving, this is a week when you should start to experience some measure of forward movement. There are a lot of key things that start this week, so I'm going to talk about them, but keep in mind also the energy, this energy of change, this energy of renewal, of fresh starts, of clarity, all of that really is going to continue to the end of the month. And so I'm going to touch a little bit on what's happening next week as well, just to give you a bit of a preview, but of course, I'll be here next week to talk about it then as well. So right off the top of the week, we have Venus speaking in harmony with Mars. Now, these two planets like speaking to each other, and they like speaking in harmony as well. If you think about it, mythologically, Venus and Mars were these lovers that were always finding their way back to each other, and the connection was very passionate as well. So at the start of the week, it does look like there's a very passionate energy in the air for us, and so, of course, you can utilize that, plan something fun, plan something romantic, should go off quite well. But then we get towards the middle of the week. The energy is still good, so don't worry about that. I'm very much of the belief, friends and fans know, regular friends and fans know who've been with me for a while, I'm very much of the belief that everything in the sky is the way that it is for a reason, to help us move towards greater love and greater wisdom. And so as part of that, even the stuff that's challenging actually has its wisdom and has its beauty, and that is going to become very evident by the time the week ends. So in the middle of the week, we have a few key things taking place that I think are huge. In a short span of time from each other, we have Jupiter changing signs, moving into the sign of Leo. Now, this is an energy I actually spoke about at length in the Jupiter special, so I would encourage you to have a look at that if you haven't already, or even if you have, because those are the themes that are really going to kick into gear this week. It is this week that Jupiter will make this very rare visit into the sign of Leo. So this is brand new energy that we are welcoming, but not only that, it's a shift in blessings as well. It is an understanding that all of life in every area can be good. So what is it that can get good next? What is it that can receive some healing energy next? So we start to feel the sense of expansion in new ways and in new areas of life, especially depending on your sign, whether it's your sun sign, moon sign, rising sign. And so this should also emphasize, I think, Leo being this very passionate sign, very romantic sign, associated with the rush of love and the feelings of love. I do think that this will only emphasize, considering the week is starting off with this really passionate energy, Jupiter moving into Leo should only increase that energy now and in the year ahead, again, as I speak about in the Jupiter specials. But what's happening within a short span of time immediately after is that Mercury will end shadow. This is so important. This is so huge. Mercury ending shadow. So as I've spoken about in my Mercury retrograde, all about Mercury retrograde video, and it was sort of inspired by a fan question, which I always love and really encourage you to reach out, and I thank you so much for it. But the question, even though the question was, should I go out on a date, a first date, when there's a Mercury retrograde. Mercury doesn't traditionally, as I said in that video, doesn't necessarily have to do with love. It depends on the placement of Mercury for you in particular. But as I explained in that video as well, with Mercury retrograde, a lot of people think it's just these 3 weeks and everything goes wonky, but it really is the 3 weeks before that you want to pay attention, because it's the 3 weeks leading up to the Mercury retrograde when the issues arise that will be revisited. And it's during the Mercury retrograde that we get a different perspective on things. And then once Mercury goes direct again, still in shadow, again, as I speak about at length in this video, Mercury going direct again, this is when the resolution comes. So officially, it is at the middle of this week, right when Jupiter changes signs, we are going to have the end of the shadow period. And that means that all that learning, all the lessons, all the issues that seem to be arising for us now are going to find their final bit of resolution. And now we're really stepping into new territory. So again, this is a shift in energy. This is a fresh start. What's also happening immediately after that, so a little bit later in the week, and again, around the middle of the week, we have Venus moving into the sign of Cancer. Now, I think that this is so important because it is in the early degrees of Cancer that Mercury will end shadow. And as Venus enters the sign of Cancer, really begins to bring a sense of warmth and a sense of love and a sense of deeper understanding on a heart level, an understanding of what actually transpired over the last 9 weeks. What is it that has actually changed now? What is it that's different now? What is it that you can say, okay, that was just a Mercury retrograde thing, I can just put that away? What is it that you sort of now have to accept now that you've seen the truth, now that you've considered things from a lot of different angles? Now comes the acceptance, now comes the peace, and really now comes a measure of love and wisdom as well for the events of the last 9 weeks as they sort of took us all on an interesting journey in at least one area of life as Mercury went shadow, retro, and shadow again. What we have happening towards the later part of the week is Mercury will be speaking in supreme harmony with Neptune. Now, this I love, and I think it's just so perfect for the sky leading up to this moment. Because we've had these 9 weeks of Mercury moving around in the same part of the sky, Mercury has not actually in this dance met Neptune. Now, at the end of these 9 weeks, Mercury meeting Neptune suggests an increase also of, as I said, the wisdom, faith as well. We are imbued with faith that things can work out well, even when they feel challenging, even when they get confusing. Sometimes you have to wait until you're on the other side of it, but once you're on the other side of it, things really can feel a lot better, especially when you understand how much better you are for the exact way that things transpired. So, and also Mercury speaking with Neptune in this type of harmony can also bring sort of inspired messages as well. So sometimes these are inspired messages that if you're an artist or a writer, this is a great time for you to be channeling that energy and creating something that you really feel is plugged into source. But if not, if you are looking for the perfect words, especially if you're looking at elements of forgiveness, this can be a time when some really nice things are said that allow that sense of forgiveness and compassion to rise. This is also an energy that does suggest a measure of messages coming in that imbue us with a lot of hope and really get our imagination going. And so in a romantic sense, because there is romantic energy this week as well, it does suggest to me that at least some people out there are going to get messages that really inspire them in one way, but in a romantic sense, really, that really get them thinking, get their imagination going as well. And then right at the end of the week, we have the Sun speaking with Mars. This is going to be really interesting. This is a conversation of determination and also a conversation of tension as well. And this is really good. I really like this because the Sun is, as a symbol, now each planet is a very rich archetype. The Sun is a symbol among many things, of our will. And so is Mars as well. Mars is the direction of the will, as I really like talking about with Mars as a representative, one representative of sacred masculine energies. So all of us have sacred masculine, sacred feminine energy. With Mars, you're really coming from a place of self-knowledge and exerting yourself in the world with that energy. With the Sun, you are connected to your center, connected at the core, and living from that space, living from a place of self-knowledge, of realization, and directing your will from that place. These two speaking in a conversation of tension, what astrologers call a square, says that no matter what is going on in our lives, we are motivated to do just that. We are motivated to take some action to improve our circumstances, to feel a sense of empowerment, and to feel like, yes, we can be agents in our own life. We do have a sense of agency, and we actually can determine which way things are going to go. Now, sometimes, because Mercury and Neptune are speaking also this week, sometimes that action, the most amazing and really effective action that you're going to take to really empower yourself, is going to be to forgive, is going to be to see with kinder eyes and an open heart. Sometimes it's actually doing something in the world to empower yourself. It's actually taking actions that are different than before to move your circumstances forward. But with this particular type of conversation with the square, it really has to be rooted in a sense of truth and a sense of self-knowledge as well, given the nature of these planets, given the nature of this conversation as well. Now, as I said, I did want to talk a little bit about next week. By the time we get to the very end of this week, Saturn will be stationary direct. So Saturn will be appearing to stand still in the sky in the beginning of next week, going direct. Uranus will be appearing to stand still in the sky, preparing to go retrograde next week. And this really, to me, suggests big changes this week and into next week as well. With Saturn, changes take place on the material level. Saturn is about honoring the fact that we're incarnated for a reason and actually doing something in the physical world and earning a level of accomplishment, actually manifesting a thing that we desire as one pathway towards self-respect. And when Saturn goes forward, this really is one of the big lessons. I'll talk more about this next week as well. But this is a week when we really realize, the end of this week and as we head into next week, what is it that must change in our reality if our long-term picture is actually going to be one that is desirable, that is steady, and is filled with self-respect. With Uranus beginning to go retrograde, this is about being the change you wish to see in the world. And all of these topics are really going to be highlighted now. I don't say it lightly. Whatever has felt stagnant in your life, no matter for how long, really can change. And for some people, rather dramatically, over the course of the coming 2 weeks, over the course of the last half of July. There are so many things that are set up, one after the other, to help us to experience breakthroughs, to help us to be plugged into inspiration, to have a sense of hope, to have a sense of faith, but also to empower ourselves and to move our life in a direction of greater happiness, greater love, and greater wisdom as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. This is the introduction. If you want to move forward to your sign, please do click on the links below. I want to thank you so much. As I said, as I was talking, I said, I love your interactions, your YouTube comments, your interactions on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and of course, my website, nadiyashah.com. I so appreciate the positive energy you bring. Thank you so much for it. If you have any questions, I'm so happy to answer them. Questions related to my technical approach or what I think about certain symbols in the sky. As I said, I do have a list. I'm creating videos. I'm putting them up slowly but surely. You should notice right around the time of this particular horoscope, there should be some North Node videos coming up as well, where I talk about planets conjunct the North Node. So the North Node videos, the ideas for those came from friends and fans like yourself. This is a continuation of that as well. And again, thank you so much for your suggestions and for your trust. I'm so grateful for it. Sometimes I get questions that are a little bit more personal that have to do with looking at your chart. If that's something that you'd like me to do, thank you so much for that. Please do have a look at personalized horoscopes, which I offer on my site. However, I'm a big, big believer that we get the exact omen that we need when we need it. And just to have this moment with you, just to be here right now, and for me to be some small part of your sacred journey, I'm truly so grateful for it. Thank you. So how all this speaks to you in your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. Early on in the week, we have your ruling planet Mars speaking in harmony with Venus. And then by the time we get to the end of the week, we have your ruling planet speaking with the Sun, this time in a conversation of tension, a conversation of truth, a conversation that says, take action now. Be honest with yourself about where you are and take action in support of that. You add to this the fact that as Mercury leaves shadow and Venus enters the part of the sky that has to do with, on one hand, self-honesty, on another hand, it has to do with feeling at home within yourself, within your own body, within your own skin, but also in your environment, also with other people as well. You put all this together and it does suggest that early in the week, regardless of what softness manifests, whether you're in an established bond or with somebody new or flirtation even that manifests, by the end of the week, by the time we get you later in the week, you are reconnecting to or having a deeper appreciation of what it is you need in a more essential sense. You add to this the fact that Saturn is going to be standing still this week, will go direct next week, and this suggests to me that the light, the frivolous, just the fun stuff is not likely to be very fun. It might start off as fun, but very quickly you may realize that you want something a little bit more substantial. And so be open to the possibility that there is certainly a lot of love in the world for you, but what love is for you is going through a change and is going to go through an even deeper change now that Jupiter is moving through the part of the sky for you that has to do with that genuine romantic connection. And this can be love not only in terms of romantic love, but considering the position of Venus in the sky this week, there's also a love that you feel on a deeper level for family members as well. Those of you who are not connected to anybody, you may end up with a very random sort of stumbling on somebody, if you will, that you feel, wow, this really could be it. This could be the right connection. By the end of the week, you're having a little bit more of a balanced view. But Venus is still going to be, over the next several weeks, in the part of the sky that has to do with family, with roots, with the past as well. And so this would be a good time, or is likely to be a time when it is family members that can connect you with other people with whom you feel a certain connection. Hello, fabulous Taurus. Well, your ruling planet will be speaking in harmony with Mars early in the week, and then will change signs in the middle of the week. And wherever your ruling planet goes, so go you, so goes a shift of focus. Your ruling planet will be moving through a part of the sky that has to do with communication, has to do with messages, has to do with interaction as well. And I do think that this is likely to be a time when, if you are open to love, this could be a good time when you connect with somebody, likely online or through some sort of messaging as well. If you are in an established bond, then this could be a time when just conversations, communicating, can really help both of you tremendously to appreciate the love that is there. But just on a deeper level, ultimately, yes, Venus is the goddess of love, does speak to love, but also speaks to a level of your identity, speaks to a level of self-worth as well. And now with Venus moving into a harmonious position for you, it does suggest that some of the learning, the considerations, especially if there were any financial considerations that were taking place over the course of the last 9 weeks, now a lot of it seems to come together for you, where you start to see and you get the message from the universe, from other people as well, that you do deserve good things and that what you are offering the world is worth a lot, and therefore, in turn, you can expect to receive more. Now, this is in terms of emotional support, intellectual support, but in practical financial terms as well. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week we have Mercury, your ruling planet, ending shadow. So this is huge for you. You add to this the fact that Venus is going to be leaving your sign. Now, all else being equal, I'm deliberately trying not to talk too much about Jupiter because I already created Jupiter specials to do just that. And that is an energy that kicks in for you this week as well, which should work so well with you. When I look at Mercury, really your representative in the sky, finally leaving shadow, ending a 9-week process where you are asked to get clear on who you are and what matters to you most, how it is that you identify on the most core level. Now, with Venus's move into the sign immediately after yours, it is as if you take all that self-knowledge, all that understanding, all that insight, and you translate it into an actual plan to create greater prosperity for yourself. Now, for a lot of you, this is going to be in a very practical sense, where this is about knowing yourself well enough now to know how it is that you want to go about creating greater prosperity, creating greater abundance for yourself. For others, it's just going to be an energy that you hold, especially as you go about making money, where you have a deeper appreciation of your worth. And that comes from ultimately self-knowledge. You know who you are. You have a deeper appreciation of who you are, and therefore a deeper appreciation of just what it is that you are offering, what it is that you are worth, and also what it is that you deserve to receive. That's going to be part of the sacred learning coming up over the next couple of weeks for you. What do you believe you deserve to receive is ultimately linked to the value you give to what it is that you are giving. These are going to be part of the lessons for you as Venus moves through the sign directly in front of yours. And also now, as Mercury ends shadow, you are moving powerfully forward into new territory and abundant territory at that. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week, Venus will move into your sign. I would have spoken about this in the monthly horoscopes for you. So do have a look at that. This is going to add an element of softness, of sweetness to your life. And yes, there's a romantic element where you're likely to attract a lot more people who just want to tell you you're fabulous. But there's also another element to this that does not necessarily have to do with romance. And this has to do with believing that you deserve to receive, whether that's emotional support, financial abundance as well from the universe. These become an important part of your learning now and in the coming weeks as well. And Mercury now is going to leave shadow and be moving through your sign. And as I looked at these two together, I just thought to myself, if there ever was a time when you were going to come to a deeper appreciation that brilliance is sexy, that being intelligent is the most beautiful thing that a person can be, is the most beautiful expression in the world, this is really going to be it. And I do think the likelihood of you being appreciated or seeing something within your own intellectual capacities that is something that even you admire, that you see as beautiful, is very strongly indicated, especially as we move later and later in the month. It is a time to feel good about yourself. Do whatever it is that helps you to feel good about yourself. Also, a really strong time, and I tell you to do it this week when Venus moves through your sign. It tends to be a good time to do things like makeovers and shopping and for new clothes and things like that. Later on this month, Venus is going to be activating the Cardinal Grand Cross that I've been talking about, especially in the spring. That might not be the best time, but right now, especially this week, and especially once we get to the middle part of the week, it does look like a really good time. If there's any new styles you've been wanting to try, any changes to your appearance you've been wanting to try, chances are you're going to like the changes very much. Hello, fabulous Leo. Well, the big news this week is Jupiter moving into your sign. So please do have a look at the Jupiter specials for more on that. Jupiter moving through your sign always denotes an expansion of a sense of self, what you're capable of, and seeing a greater vision for your life. So again, I talk about that at length in the Jupiter special. But in other news, with other things that are happening, when I look at Mercury now ending shadow, having moved back and forth between a part of the sky that has to do with, on the one hand, friendship, and on the other hand, subconscious or unconscious motivations, unconscious drives. What is it that propels you forward? What is it that you keep secret even to yourself? And the connection that these two have, I do think now it looks like a time when you're ready to move forward on a friendship or a decision on a friendship. If you already made a decision, it's like you're seeing other people differently. You have been seeing other people differently, considering how it is that they reflect you, what it is ultimately that they say about you. But now, as you move forward, it does look like you're getting a deeper lesson, a deeper learning happens for you, where you understand ultimately what it is that drove you to make the contacts you did, to have the certain, especially community-based connections that you did, and where now you're ready to define what community is to you and which community it is ultimately that you belong to a little bit differently as well. This is also a time for you to be documenting your dreams, Document your dreams. There's going to be lots of activity happening in the dream space this week in particular, and this is going to set you up very, very nicely to reach a moment of very deep self-honesty that is going to be very needed to really lay the groundwork for the very big and bold beginnings you have coming up just next week with the new moon in your sign. Hello, fabulous Virgo. Your ruling planet leaves shadow this week. This is huge. This is so important for you because whatever has felt stagnating, whatever has felt like you wish it would move forward but hasn't, especially on the career front and even on the front of wishing that people in some way would just flow with you a little bit more in terms of the direction you want to go in. People would support you a little bit more in terms of how you understand your life purpose, what it is ultimately it is that you are going for. When I look at the fact that this conversation has been taking place, it does suggest to me that at least now you're going to find a measure of stability, a clearer understanding of what it is ultimately that you want to do, who it is that's on your side with this, and what it is ultimately that you're really going for in a larger sense. What do you believe your purpose is? All of these have been getting a lot of sacred learning on your part, and now things start to feel like they are moving forward. If there was any stagnation in career progress, now more and more that should start to feel like a thing of the past. I'm going to encourage you, really all signs, to watch your Jupiter special with Jupiter moving into a different sign this week. I do think that there's an element here playing out this week that has to do with a strengthening of faith, if you will, a strengthening in the understanding of who it is you are and a belief in miracles even. You have to trust that some of the most important things that you're going to do as far as your success now and in the coming year, you've already done. You've already put them into place. And as Mercury was moving back and forth in the part of the sky that has to do with how high you wish to go in this life, I think you've already made the connections. You've already made the contacts. You already know the people that you need to reap great benefit now and in the months ahead. Hello, fabulous Libra. Well, Mars moving through your sign at the beginning of the week makes a very harmonious conversation with Venus, your ruling planet. At the end of the week, makes a not as harmonious conversation with the Sun. And you put these together, and it does look like you are really coming to a deeper appreciation and a deeper grounding of just what the last 7 months were meant to be for you. What is it that the universe has been trying to get you to understand, to learn? All of that seems to culminate in some very powerful ways for you this week, where you come to understand that, yes, you have a lot of power and a lot of agency, but there are also limits to that, and that's really okay. And when you come to the end of doing everything that you could do, that is the point when you have to surrender, when you have to have faith that it's enough to get you where it is ultimately that you want to go in the bigger picture of your life. It does look like there's an element of impatience playing out towards the end of the week. So just be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself as that's taking place. And it looks like, at least for some of you, there's this feeling there that I should be more successful, or I should be having bigger breakthroughs. I should be making greater advancements. I should be clearer even on what it is I want in life. What is my life purpose? So don't get too caught up in that bewilderment energy, because ultimately I think your answers are going to be found in much more softer, emotional, friendly, joyous channels. And so try not to put too much pressure on yourself to really accomplish something really grand in a very short span of time. You know, it's been said that people often overestimate what can be done in a year and underestimate what can be done in 10 years. And this is something I've shared before in the horoscopes as I've been doing them over the last few years. And I am such a believer in this. And I think this is something you really want to hold as a mantra, especially as we get you to the end of the week, because there really is so much that you can do. And as you spend, this is the last full week that Mars is going to be in your sign. Next week will change signs, which will be a huge change for you as well. But as Mars is sort of in these final moments, it looks like a lot of things are culminating for you, and there may be a sense of impatience as to whatever it is you think you should have achieved or will achieve. And I'm saying to you, trust that you're exactly where it is that you need to be and that everything is unfolding in the exact perfect time that it needs to. Allow that determination to nurture ambition, to nurture a sense of, even when you don't know all the answers, you know that you're moving in a direction that matters and in a direction that you can be proud of. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. Well, this week we do have Saturn standing still in the sky, especially as we get late into the week. I'll talk more about Saturn moving direct in your sign. It really is so important. It really is so huge. But this really is going to be a shift that is felt by you, without a doubt. And it is going to be, it's almost as if I see you sort of standing in a place as we progress in the week where you want change and you want it now. Your ancient ruler is going to be speaking with the sun. There's going to be an element here. This particular conversation is one of impatience as well. And yet at the same time, as Saturn is standing still, you know that progress is close. You know that you are actually moving in a solid direction. It's almost as if you're just waiting for the confirmation and you can't wait. Like you're feeling like, oh my God, I can't wait for this to actually come through. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to show the world. I'm ready to show myself that I can do this, that I can be a grown-up, if you will. And the time will come. It will manifest. And especially next week, you should notice that flow improve. And I will be here to talk about it then, of course. But in other news, when I look at this week, of course, the Jupiter special, I'd really encourage you to watch. There's an element there of gaining clarity into what it is that you're actually going for in life, what you consider the pinnacle of success, and how it is that you're going to put yourself on that path. What is your purpose? Is it something deeper or not? And as these questions start arising, it's almost as if you think you have the answers, and I'm seeing this feeling by the end of the week that you think you have the answers, you think you know, and you're ready to actually do it, and you're ready to actually demonstrate it, but some resistance is there holding you back. Trust it. The time to move forward is coming so soon. Let yourself nurture the ambition. If there's no choice but to take action, do so, of course. Trust your circumstances, of course, above and beyond anything else. However, as you nurture that feeling of determination, understand that within that, a greater clarity and a greater strength is also being nurtured as well, which is going to lead to some really incredible breakthroughs next week and further down the road as well. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. Well, this week, it is a big week for you because your ruling planet will be changing signs. And wherever, as I spoke of in the Jupiter specials, when your ruling planet changes signs, it really is a shift for you. It's a shift of energy for you. And considering that your ruling planet is going to a very harmonious placement, I do see a sense of growth and expansion and healing just coming in and feeling so right. It's like you, but the best of you, and you remember the best of you and you experience the best of you. That is a process that starts for you now. But when I look at in other news, okay, over the last few weeks, so we've had now Mercury is finishing shadow this week, and also Venus will leave your opposite sign as well. And so there's been a lot of back and forth between a partner. Most of you would experience this as a romantic interaction. Some of you maybe more in terms of business, but it seems like there's this back and forth, give and take, negotiation energy that has been there for a little while. And as sweet as it has been at times, there have also been times when you've sort of just said, okay, this person is who they are. They have this perspective. I didn't realize that they had this perspective, but okay, I'm going to flow with it. And either one works given the context, of course. And so now it is that whole process culminates and you come to an understanding of seeing your partner more clearly on the one hand, understanding who they are more clearly also, but also just in a larger sense, in a meta sense, understanding who it is that you want with you, who it is that you want by your side, ultimately as well, as something that's going to really matter to you now. Keep in mind, as I said, some really nice energy is coming in. Whatever has been transpiring with a partner, whatever confusion or questions, negotiations that have been taking place, you're about to enter much sweeter territory. And it's also territory that's a lot more prosperous as well, given that Venus is going to move into the part of the sky that has to do with income that you receive, whether it's through a spouse, grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payouts. All of this becomes very favored for you now and in the weeks ahead. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. Well, much of this week is going to be spent with your ruling planet standing still in the sky, slowing down, standing still, preparing to go direct next week. This is marking a huge really moment of truth for you, moment of realization for you. You add to this the fact that in your opposite sign, Mercury will leave shadow, Venus will enter your opposite sign, and this is giving you further clarity as to who you are and likely mirrored in other people as well. It's very likely that you're going to see yourself, see who you are, understand who you are in the context of looking at who you've actually attracted into your life. For some of you, this is going to be romantic. For others of you, it might not be. It might just be one-on-one interactions. Either way, welcome them for the potential and the possibility that they hold. But do understand that this is about you. This process, this learning, this moment really is about you. So you've got to focus on yourself to the best of your ability. Yes, there are going to be suitors. I do think so. Venus moving through your opposite sign, and I would have spoken about this in the monthly horoscope, who does bring suitors. You add to this the fact that this week you're coming off of a full moon in your sign that took place late last week. So emotions are heightened for you. There's a desire to change. There's a desire for movement. And yet there's also your ruling planet standing still, really waiting to take a calculated move. Trust that. You're calculating things right more and more as we progress through the week, and the time to make a move is coming very, very soon. Allow yourself to connect with the principles that matter to you most, the ambitions that matter to you most personally, professionally, romantically, and otherwise. And you are going to figure out a way forward. But it has to start within you. It has to start within your heart, within your energy, and that shift certainly is on its way. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. Well, it is your ancient ruling planet, Saturn, that is standing still for much of this week. You add to the fact that Mercury has sort of a natural affinity with your sign, and it is Mercury that is going to be leaving shadow this week. And you add to that Jupiter moving through your opposite sign, or beginning a move through your opposite sign, as I spoke about in the Jupiter specials. And I do think that your sign is one of those that really is going to notice a notable shift, is really going to start to feel that things are changing, things are improving, things are getting better. I do see sort of a burst of healing energy coming in through other people in one-on-one interactions. And this I spoke about again in the Jupiter special, so do have a look at that. But you add to that with your ancient ruler standing still in a part of the sky for you that has to do with life purpose, that has to do with career, that has to do with understanding how high you want to go in this life. What's a legacy worth leaving? I do think that you are about to reconnect to the things that matter to you most. Whatever it is that has felt frustrating or confusing in terms of with Mercury moving through a part of the sky that had to do with, on the one hand, moving through a part of the sky that had to do with romance, okay, the feeling of love, and also had to do with the way that you're actually living your day-to-day life, how it is that you're demonstrating self-love and self-care. Especially when I look at the very beginning of the week, if there were any issues that came about towards the end of last week, beginning of this week, I would have spoken about this in last week's horoscope, very likely. If any issues came about right around the middle of June, now you can expect things to sort of come up again to get a moment of completion, of closure, of understanding for you as well to take place in the early part of the week. I also do think that if there were any issues or disturbances that came about in the middle of last month, once Venus crosses over that same point in the middle of this week, while Jupiter moves into your opposite sign, all of this just bears very well for you understanding who you are and who you are in the context of, on the one hand with Saturn, your goals in life, the big picture of your life, but also who you are in the context of relationships, who you are in the context of love. Who are you with? Do you like who you're with? And do you not? It also is a very powerful week for forgiveness as well. So if any issues did come up in the past, and what I mean by the past is over the course of the last 9 weeks, if any issues did come up that frustrated you, that hurt you, now is the time when you understand where forgiveness needs to happen, whether it's with you or with somebody else, and you are able to come to a deeper understanding as to the wisdom of all that transpired. Hello, fabulous Pisces. Well, there begins to be a buildup of energy in the part of the sky that has to do with romance for you. You add to this your ruling planet, your ancient ruling planet, rather, moves into a new sign. And I would have talked about this in the Jupiter specials, so do have a look at that. But all else being equal, for this particular weekly horoscopes, I want to focus on the fact that you've got Mercury leaving shadow in the sign of Cancer. You've got Venus entering the sign of Cancer, very harmoniously placed to you. This is a part of the sky that has to do with the feelings of love. So some people say it's true love. I think of this more as a part of the sky that has to do with the flush of love, with dating. It's that feeling that you get when you connect with somebody in the most romantic sense, that hope that you have, and that aliveness that it can feel like to be with another person, to enjoy their company as well, which is different than partnership. But partnership also is going to be highlighted now as well, because Mercury is the ruling planet of your opposite sign, which has to do with partnership agreements, has to do with love, and especially the agreements we make as part of partnerships. And so given that you have got Mercury moving through the part of the sky for you that has to do with the feeling of love, and it's Mercury, the ruler of your opposite sign, you put these together, Venus there as well, it does suggest the beginning of a period that's really nice, that's joyous, that's romantic, that's fertile as well. So if you've been looking to reconnect with somebody where the connection either broke off or seemed a little uncertain for you over the course of the last few weeks, now you should notice some forward momentum. But if you're in an established bond as well, this can be a time when you reconnect to the things that brought you to each other. There is just such a nice energy that's growing for you now, regardless of the other things taking place in the sky that may be a little challenging. I don't think they're going to affect you so much, mainly because you are going to keep your focus and keep an understanding that ultimately it really is joy that matters most. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.